Good morning. Before I get started talking about a lot here, mostly going to work with Nunchaku, but let me know if my audio is coming through okay, if there's some lag issues or anything like that. This one, we're probably just going to push through a lot of material, work on just explaining some concepts and some techniques with the Nunchaku, traditional Nunchaku. And then hopefully this will be kind of a class that I can post for people to review. So we'll mostly stay on topic today. Just if you have any questions or um, anything about kobudo, about martial arts weapons, or about nunchaku specifically, questions or comments about those are probably what I'll address. But let me know if the audio is coming through clean. See if my comments work for questions. And yeah. So as I get started here, I'll explain. So these are actually nunchaku, like real nunchaku. They're not. They don't sparkle. They do not glow. They are not featherweight. And you don't twirl and spin them. Okay, that's not how we use nunchaku. These are an Okinawan weapon. They're made of, I believe they're like an Okinawan oak, maybe Okinawan red oak, and these are octagonal. There's a taper to them, so they're wider here and narrower here, which helps with gripping. In older times, these strings might have been used with horsehair or human hair. Hi, is my audio coming through okay so you can hear me? And in actuality, you would have held the nunchaku like this. Okay, so when you see people spinning them in the movies, hello. Um, all right, perfect. When you see people spinning these in the movies, a lot of times they're holding them here and they're whipping them around their body, and there's not really a great application of that. I guess if someone was behind me, thank you, appreciate it. If someone was behind me, I could maybe hold it like this. I could see like, okay, I want to smack that person who's like grabbing me from behind, but yeah, you're not going to be doing that in most of your fighting. That's like a worst case scenario that you had a ranged weapon and somebody came in and grabbed you. So, oh, I appreciate that. So really, this weapon serves the function that this weapon would have. This is a asp collapsible baton. So you can carry it. This whole thing folds into the handle. You can carry it in like a little holster, and then you pull that out, and you have a longer stick weapon. You can use this to block. You can use it to, kind of hit with this end, and you can smack with this end. All right. So, um, it's a effective self defense weapon. That's kind of what this was. This you could kind of tuck it here, and so you could walk around with nunchaku without it being real obvious that you had a weapon. Um, and so it's like a better than nothing weapon, right? So this isn't something where it's like, oh yeah, those guys have swords. Well, let me run inside my house and get my nunchaku, and I'm going to go toe to toe with this person who has a sword. That's not what it would have been. This would be like, I want to carry something while I'm out, walking around, just in case I need to defend myself. Even like a wild dog or something, you got something like this, you might be able to keep them away, right? Versus this isn't the optimal weapon, right? If someone comes out with a sword, I'm going to get a longer weapon and go fight them. But if I don't have a longer weapon, if I'm just out walking around, I need something, just keep that tucked. Or, if this is like a horse bridle, like they actually, there's a pretty similar. The horse bridles are pretty similar to this. Like they have a traditional one that they even sell in like weapons stores and stuff for Okinawan Kobudo. So if you're in like a shop and there's a horse bridle there, you could pick that up and use that as nunchaku. All right, so I'm going to explain a little bit about how you would use this, because I talked about how you would not use it. You would not use it by holding it here and spinning it around your body and flipping it around and doing all kinds of like fancy tricks and stuff, right? You're not gonna, you know, hit yourself in the groin, plonk yourself in the head. All right, that's not how we use it. All right, how you do use it is you're gonna hold it towards the end. You're gonna leave about an inch here for hitting with this end. So maybe you block somebody else's attack, and you hit them with this end right in the mouth. Boom. Maybe not right in the mouth, in like Jinshu right there. Boom, you can hit them. All right. The stances. So sometimes a lot of different martial arts, a lot of different karate systems use different stances. As long as it's like a forward-facing stance, you can use nunchaku in your karate stance, right? So if you're doing nahate systems like goju-ryu and uechi-ryu, sanshin stance, sanshin dachi, is pretty transferable to nunchaku. You could just use sanshin dachi. But that being said, there are some considerations in karate that you don't have in kobudo, right? So part of why we make sanshin dachi is we're expecting somebody to maybe kick up to the groin. And if if you're fighting with one of these, probably it's because they have a weapon, right? It's probably not like, somebody unarmed and you're just whooping on them with nunchaku. They probably have a weapon. So if they have a weapon, if they do hit your groin, they're not coming up with it like a kick. They're probably hitting directly from that angle. So you don't have the protection of having your knee in like this to shield your groin. Also, the chances, if they have a weapon, they're probably not going to kick you in the thigh, right? So that's not as much of a consideration. So you could make a stance that kind of approximates like a sanshin dachi, but it can be a little bit more natural and less of I gotta be ready for a leg kick, gotta be ready for a groin kick. Still be ready for those things, but the fight is going to happen at a little bit of a different distance when you're utilizing a weapon that has that kind of reach. All right. Let's see here. Can't actually use. You're right. Watch me hurt myself. All right. So the other thing to consider is if somebody did have like a spear or something and they're thrusting that, trying to hit you in the groin with the spear, it's going to come at this angle. In sanshin stance, maybe we're partly standing like that so we can pick our knee up and block if someone's trying to kick us in the groin. If someone has a spear, would I rather be speared in the knee than the groin? Sure, but if I get speared in the knee, how long am I going to be able to stay in that fight? I might not be able to keep fighting if my knee gets gouged with a spear. So the approach is going to be different. I'm fighting at a different range. If they attack me with like a spear, I'm going to move and block that way. So I step out of the way, deflect that way, as opposed to just boom, stay right in front and block. So knowing that Kinjo Kaicho, the head of our system in Okinawa, he learned both Okinawan karate and Okinawan kobudo, and his approach to the things he learned in Okinawan kobudo and his study of that shaped his approach to Okinawan karate do, and vice versa. So this is one of those places. In karate, you kind of learn, okay, they don't have any weapons, you don't have any weapons, they're kicking you in the groin, you're going to stand right in front of them and block like that, or you're going to catch their kick, right? In Kobudo, if something's coming at your groin, it's probably a weapon. And so you're not going to go here, and you're not going to catch it with your hands. So you're going to get out of the way, boom, deflect it, boom, and then go back in with your hip. So that's the other point. Because we're holding it way on the end, instead of choked up like this, the strikes are going to reach out. So you're going to be hitting, reaching. And so the most velocity that it has is going to be at its furthest extension away from you. Then you're turning your body so that when it comes back towards you, the velocity is reduced. So if I do hit myself, it's hopefully not at the same velocity as I would have hit my opponent. So the maximum velocity is this point. As I rotate back, it takes out, that rotation takes out some of that velocity. Okay, the other thing is how we catch it, right? So what I practice is Kobudo, which is an evolution of Matayoshi Kobudo. In Matayoshi system of Kobudo, they reach behind the back like this and catch behind the back that way in the katas. All right, now here is the problem with this. So I catch behind the back. I think that's supposed to symbolize you might start in this position, but why? Why would you start in a position like this? Maybe lull your opponent into a sense of complacency. They don't see that you have a grip on this one, and then this one comes whipping around, right? But you can do all of that here, right? So you're here, this one's showing, this one's really not. And the difference is, if I'm holding it back here and I need to block with my nunchaku, I cannot come around this side and block unless I let go, and then I'm only blocking with one hand. So I don't have the strength if I was blocked with two. Or I have to come clear around this way to do my block. Versus here, boom, I can come from here to here and do my block. So here I'm ready to, not only this one comes faster, so I can strike just as quickly, either reaching out this way or reaching out this way, right? If I'm here, this way is fast, but this way is very slow. It takes a long time to get there. So we're staying more here. So the way you do that, you're holding him like this, so you can hit with either end, and you can block. You have a blocking surface. You can block with here. You can block here. Now here is not like you're blocking. The Japanese word for block is uke. That means to receive. So you're not actually going to just try to stop something dead in its tracks here. You're going to move out of the way, block, and depending on what the weapon is, you might catch it, or you might just deflect it, boom, and hit, deflect, and hit, right? So you're kind of absorbing, you're receiving it, and then countering. Come back with your own attack. So you're holding here, and to get from here, you just put your arm through like that, back to the center, arm through like that, back to the center. So you can just do that, just practicing that position. That's kind of home base, is like here, or here, or here. Yes, used for capturing as well. Yeah, so if you block, let's say it's a bow or a club, they're coming down. You're blocking here, you're moving, but you can kind of entangle the weapon with your nunchaku. And now you've nullified their advantage. And at that point, you've got them all tangled up, and you could stomp their knee, throw a headbutt, let go, boom, start going to work with punches. All right. So, basic thing that you can do to practice getting in that position is just come right here. I'm gonna try not to hit my light. So you can let go of the top one, move this side up, down, up and catch. Let go of the top, up, down, and catch. Up, down, 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 catch. Remember, from right here, you come out quickly to block or to strike, just like that. All right. Let's see. Deadly concealable weapon. Exactly. This says Nunchaku breaks bones. Yeah, I saw something. Gosh, I don't know, some kind of documentary, I think, where they were hitting ballistic gel or something with it, and it was talking about the forces that were being exerted with it. I think one of the tricks is to kind of always hit at like a slight angle, so that if you hit straight across, this thing can come back and smack you in the hand. Versus if you hit a little bit of an angle, it'll flip back at an angle and miss your hand. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like somebody was like, I want to carry around a stick this long, but I don't want to be real obvious about it. It's like, oh, well, this horse bridle kind of, you know, fits that bill. It's that long if I'm swinging it, but it's shorter. Would I rather have a solid surface if I'm blocking a attack with a machete or a sword and it's coming at me? Would I rather not have a string here? Yeah, I'd rather not have a string there. Be depending on that. Can I push it together and create a little bit of tension to block there, or could I just make sure I'm just really out of the way when I'm deflecting that? Yeah, I can work around it, but it's not as good as having like a solid stick for blocking. Entangling, yes, it's better. It's better than a solid stick for entangling. Very useful for that. Chained weapons are hard to use. You got to be careful. Yes, exactly. So yeah, this one has a string that would be used for, like it would be made of horsehair or human hair. Um, but yeah, it's the same principle. It can be tricky to use. It bounces in kind of unpredictable ways sometimes. So the level of practice to be able to become proficient is higher than like with a stick. So a lot of the movements might be similar to what you would do in Filipino martial arts like Kali, but you don't have as much control because it's flying all over the place, and so you have to really practice. All right, so I'm going to show kind of how some of these movements work in a kata. So start this way, left hand, hold it like this, so it's offset, like so. That's good. Great. Omu no Nunchaku. Wait for the center, separate like this. Move in and block, right? So somebody's trying to hit my throat, I block and push the weapon down. I move in, block on the other side, push the weapon down, step in, nodo zuki. So I'm extending, I'm hitting like that to the nodo, to the throat. Well, now I'm dropping back out of the way. Maybe they're swinging a weapon at my head, drop it back out of the way, I step forward. Now I'm reaching, reaching, reaching. Oh, reach, reach, catch, reach out. Whoa, 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 and the catch. Now, this one, step in, Kontezuki. Remember what I said. You're keeping the end of that available to hit him. Now, I think this is really useful because I was just swinging at somebody, and so I'm reaching way out. But let's say they didn't like that I was reaching out and hitting them with that. And they figured out that if they get really close to me, it could take away some of the effectiveness with my weapon. Oh, so somebody who's trying to get in close, hitting them like that with that Kontezuki can be effective for keeping them from getting close to you and tying you up so you can't use your weapon. Then from here, I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to go toward the back, but I'm going to angle so you can see. Same thing, step in, Kontezuki. Oh, I hit right there. Turn. Do one more sequence like that. Now here, I'm going to move in and block like this. Step. Then turn, block. Actually did that incorrectly. So scratch that. All right. So I just caught here when I'm moving block. Left foot's in front here. And I'm going to step right. Boom, big figure eight. Catch. Then I'm going to take my right foot. I'm going to move it all the way through. A little bit of a tricky turn here. All right. So then from right here, I'm going to turn toward the back. I'm going to kind of show you what it would look like from the back. I'm going to block this way. It's all going through the back. I'm blocking here, then striking to the throat again. Stepping, blocking here, striking to the throat again, stepping up behind. I'm going to throw this like a dart to hit my opponent right in the face. All right? So, let's see if I can. Yep, hit. Yeah, sorry, man. Australia. All right. Here, step, throw that, hit right in the face. I'll fix you guys now. Step and throw it. Hits him in the face like a punch. Odozuki, right? And I turn. Remember what I said. Something's coming gate on either a spear to the groin or to, like a broad, like broad halberd type weapon coming at your knee. You're gonna step offline and deflect that because you just don't want to be there. You can't block a real weapon with your knee. Deflect. Now move over to the side here. I'm going to go in. This one kneeling down. Suzuki here. In, kneeling down. Move in, block. Switch this one around the end. No Suzuki. Back around. Yame. Arigatou gozaimasu. Alright. So yeah, some things are foam chucks are good for beginners. It depends. So I think for kids, yeah, I think kids, like, it's hard for them to learn when they're worried about hurting themselves or hitting themselves. I think for adults, it's probably better to go with the regular feel, so to go with real nunchaku, but just take it slow in the beginning. Generally, if I think back to the times I've hit myself really hard with the nunchaku, I always started, like, I started training when I was 14. So I wasn't a little kid, and I started with these. I didn't start with foam nunchaku or anything like that. Um, I think it's good for younger kids because I think they should be able to practice without like fear of injury and stuff. Um, for adults or older kids, older youth, I think it's better to use the wooden ones, but they should just go slow. They should go slow in the beginning. Every time I've hit myself really hard with the nunchaku, it's been when I was trying to catch up. Like I didn't know the stuff well enough, or it was a new movement, and I was just really like I was trying too hard to go too fast, and I hit myself hard. And there's two times I really remember just hitting myself hard. I mean, I've hit myself a couple times in funny bones and stuff with nunchaku. But the two times I really remember hitting myself hard, one was I was hitting upward really hard, and I it wrapped under and it popped me right in the front of my lip, and I got a big fat lip. The other time I was swinging up and I clonked myself in the head, in the back of the head, really hard, and it made a really loud noise. People around me, like I was trying to play it off, like I didn't get hit, but people around me heard it. Yes. Yeah, san setsukon is what we call that. But yes, easy to do. I don't know very much san setsukon. I can do the one where you like you hold it like in the middle this way, and you can kind of. I can do that with it, um, and I guess I could hold it by the ends and practice, like blocking like this. But I'm not proficient with san setsukon. It's more, yeah, it's more Chinese. Chinese martial arts use that more, like kung fu. Um, but in Matayoshi Kobudo, because Matayoshi Kobudo has connections to China and Chinese martial arts influence, then they use that weapon. They use the three section staff, but it's not Okinawan; it's Chinese. Yep. Oh yeah, and I'm sure if you practice more with it, then you you would have hit yourself more times, but eventually you would get to the point where you weren't hitting yourself as much, probably. All right. So you saw in that kata, we have blocks like this, blocks like this, which should not be understood to be a sword is coming down your head and you're blocking like that. That's not what that is. I already talked about moving out of the way, talked about deflecting or, depending on the weapon, absorbing and collapsing in. Condition your thighs for strikes. Dead legs hurt bad. Yes, I have. I've had my thighs in a way where I was probably pretty close to impervious to some of those dead leg things. So the question is, did I have I conditioned my thighs? Yeah. So I'm currently because I've been kind of resting. My elbows have been irritated, and I don't always have people to kick my thighs for me. I have not been focused on that aspect of my training very much because the hitting it kind of reverberates up my elbow and stuff. Also, I find that too much thigh training, your knee is having to anchor your leg in position while you're hitting your thigh or receiving kicks to your thigh. So it actually can, cause some strain and some um, pain to the knee. It kind of depends on what your goals are. If you're gonna fight and it's a fight where people are kicking your legs, which most fights are, that's a possibility. But um, if you're going into like a kickboxing fight where kicking the legs is like a thing, like a Muay Thai type fight, you would want to have your legs conditioned. You want to be in there, and it should happen kind of naturally through sparring. Like people are going to be kicking your legs in sparring, so and they're not trying to kill you. They're not trying to break your knees. So you absorb some of those kicks in sparring, and then they don't bother you as much when you're in the actual fight. Um, But yeah, you can have people, you can go back and forth with the partner, kicking each other's legs to toughen that up. And that's probably a good idea to do if you're getting into the ring with somebody who's going to be kicking your legs hard. You can also use like kettlebells. So I'll actually grab something right now. You could use kettlebells, like make sanchin stance. You gotta thump your thighs a little bit with this kettlebell. Kind of sink into it as you. It's a good reminder. I need to do more of this. These are just light, like little 10-pound kettlebells. Also use, so while we're talking weapons, so I have not found a good way to condition my thighs with Nunchaku, but we did talk about Nunchaku sometimes being a replacement for this. Like I want to stick like this, but I can't carry one openly. Look at this. This is a baston, like a kali stick. This is Nunchaku stretched out. You see that range? That's exactly the same. So it's meant to fill the same purpose. It's meant to be a portable version of this. Now, would I feel like I had a more solid blocking with this? Yes. Could I trap my opponent's weapon as easily by bending my arms and absorbing and catching? No. You can. There are like ways to trap people's arms and stuff with this. I'm not skilled with it because this isn't a weapon we use in Okinawan Kobudo, but it is something I've seen some of the Filipino martial artists do. So you can take this, you can hold it this way, like that. This way, punch into it. And you can take this and hit. So you can hit that way to kind of condition your body. You could also use tunkwa. Yeah, regular, gradual. The first time you do it, I would say you should barely feel sore. So don't go too hard with it. You should barely feel sore. And then take a day of rest and don't do it again. And then do it a couple days later and maybe about the same. Just very, very gradual. It's called kitai. Kitai is training. But the implication is that it's gradual training. You're building up to it. It's not show how tough you are. All right. So with tunkwa, another Okinawan weapon, I go here, hit across. And I can use the inside. I usually have to make a little longer stance for this. All right. So those techniques can be used to toughen and condition the body. So then when you're, yeah, Kyokushin, pain tolerance, Kyokushin, yeah. So that's the kind of fight I'm talking about, where if you're going to do a Kyokushin match against someone, like in a street fight, I have very rarely seen people kick the leg with a hard Mawashi, Geidan Mawashigeri, low round kick. I very rarely have ever seen anybody do that. So it's hard to argue that that's super, super important for street self-defense, to just condition the heck out of your legs. But does it give you an element of confidence knowing that, man, someone kicks my legs, I'm going to laugh at them, boom, boom, and then I'm going to hit them, right? Same thing. The stomach training is probably even more, because people do hit to the body sometimes, even in a street fight. So having a strong core, strong body, and being able to put that armor on, then you just got to worry about attacks coming at your head. Cover your head, protect yourself, boom, come back with your own counter strikes. But yeah, if you're going to step into a Kyokushin fight or a Muay Thai fight, then I would say, yeah, condition the heck out of your legs and your stomach and your arms and your shins. You do have to get everything pretty tough. Street people often punch to the head. Exactly. So they're going right. They're getting right to the point. They're not playing with you. There's not rules where it's like, because Kyokushin, sometimes the rules are you can't punch the head. There are formats. You can't write off Kyokushin fighters and be like, oh, they don't punch to the head. They do punch to the head in sparring in their dojos. They punch to the head, and in certain competition formats, like those guys are not scared of getting punched in the head. They just the official, like the old school Kyokushin rules, it's meant to be like a tough man competition. Like sometimes, like, you can't always control how tough your jaw is, and so sometimes you can like develop yourself and make yourself really tough, and then get punched one time and go unconscious, right? So it takes the luck element out of it, and it just goes to like, how tough are you, how much spirit can you show. And yeah, it sometimes, if you allow punches to the head, that's all people want to do. So they just come right in punching the head, and they don't showcase the whole system of karate, where you're doing all these kicks, or the whole system of Muay Thai. Muay Thai, they do punch to the head, but I think they get awarded more points for like kicks and stuff too. So you see a lot of kicks in Muay Thai. So yeah, if you're fighting Muay Thai, if you're fighting Kyokushin, you got to toughen up your legs. If you just want basic like street self-defense, it's not the most important thing in the world to make your legs really tough. It is part of traditional karate training in some styles, like Uechi-ryu and Goju-ryu. That is part of traditional karate training, is to toughen your body. And in doing that, that toughens and strengthens your mind. So it's part of developing yourself as a human being through martial arts, sometimes through pain, sometimes through the patience it takes to endure pain and make progress over a long period of time. So that's part of the martial arts system. So if you're doing traditional martial arts that include that, then you need to do some of that. If you're doing Krav Maga because you want to have some basic self-defense skills, I don't think you need to spend a bunch of time hitting your legs with stuff. I think your time would be better spent figuring out how to defend against punches and the few kicks that people might throw at you in the street, and grappling situations. That's my 2 cents. Oh yeah, Dutch kickboxers. So the Dutch kickboxers were very much influenced by Kyokushin, also though. Like they had Japanese fighters went over and taught some of the Dutch guys, I think, too. And some of the Dutch guys came to Japan and trained. So Dutch kickboxing has influences of Muay Thai and like Japanese, like karate. So that's the things, like there's a point where all these people are fighting each other, right? So you can say like, oh, Muay Thai works so good, Dutch kickboxing works so good, Kyokushin works so good. These guys are all running in the same circles at a point, because if you're Kyokushin and you want to be famous and you want to be the best fighter, you're probably going to get into K1. You're going to get into, like, I don't know, this one FC. I think they have like a striking only division. They have like the kickboxing with the MMA gloves. So if you're a Kyokushin fighter, like, there's going to be crossover, right? Because you're going to have to fight these Thai guys. And if you're a Muay Thai fighter, if you want to be in those big promotions in other countries and stuff like the K1 or the One FC, then you're gonna be coming up against some of the Japanese fighters and some of the people with the Dutch style. So they're all fighting each other, which means there's the information is getting crossed, and so they're exchanging information, and it's evolving how they do things. So it's not, yeah, when you lose all strength, what's Savate works well. Yeah, yeah, that's like French kickboxing, basic French martial arts. I think Savate had a big influence on karate point fighting as well. So it's interesting. I think Jesse Enkamp had a really good video on Savate's influence on karate, Japanese style karate, and how they arrived at their point system for sparring. Body collapses when old, so you need chi power. So it's hard to say like what chi is. I think if you understand it as some kind of like mystical force, it's not magic, guys. Like, it's not your chi, or in Japanese we call it ki. Um, it's not a magic force that you use to be able to do magic things. It's the culmination of tens of thousands of repetitions, and I think there's a point where your body, like your fast twitch muscles, like if I'm 20 years old and you say punch as fast as you can, it's going to be based on how much fast twitch muscle I have. If I'm 70 years old and you say punch as fast as you can, it's going to be based on how the many repetitions I've done to make that movement as efficient as possible, and then the nerves. So there's like the nervous system, like how efficient is that pathway. So like um, when you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, the nerves make a more efficient pathway so that you can execute it more quickly. Uh, you would know how to put your body into it a certain way, and your breathing into a certain way. And of course, yeah, there's a focus element to it where you're kind of focusing your mind on what you're doing. So I think there's a lot that goes into it, and maybe when you coordinate all those things and get it perfectly together, maybe that is something akin to ki or chi, but it's not magic, and it's not gonna make a 80-year-old man be able to, step into a cage and defeat a 20-year-old mixed martial arts fighter. Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing: if you're elderly and you're old, maybe the point, like, yes, you still want to be able to defend yourself, of course, um, but the point isn't necessarily always just that. There's a lot more to that a lot more to martial arts than just self defense. So, man, when you're 80 years old, you're going to be happy just to be able to walk. And if you can also do martial arts techniques, like you can actually do your blocks and kicks, like Chuck Norris, who passed away recently, he was still able to do his martial arts stuff, at least to some degree. It's not like he could do it exactly the same way as he did when he was 25, but he could still do his martial arts stuff, and that's a huge win to be in your 80s and still kicking, literally, still alive and kicking. Because some people aren't even walking, and some people are barely walking, and they're definitely not kicking. But to be alive and kicking, as the saying goes, literally, that I think is the goal. That's really the goal of the lifelong martial arts pursuit. Guns for the elder. Yeah, but didn't you say you're in like Australia? Yeah, this is an American podcast. So yes, or not podcast, but like this is an American YouTube channel. Um, so yes, we do have guns for the elderly. Hello, kicking. Yeah, exactly. Most are pushing up daisies. Yep. So I think I'm gonna jump off without further ado. But take care. Have a great day. I hope if you found this really interesting, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of videos kind of like this. Yeah, yeah. I think here in the U.S. we need to do a better job of instilling values and in young people and rebuilding our families. I think broken families and um, educating young people without values, trying to separate them from their religious faith, and um, kind of advocating like a nihilistic worldview, um, glorifying certain elements of culture. That unfortunately is our issue. I think the weapons and stuff would be a better situation for us if we did a better job of those things. And I think, but I sympathize with my, uh, any viewers or any people in Australia who they don't have some of the same rights and stuff for self defense. And really, I arrived at that through Okinawan Kobudo. It was through Okinawan Kobudo that I was like, man, like, yeah, when the Japanese Satsuma samurai like took over Okinawa, first thing, hey, no weapons. You can't carry your own weapons, and so that played a role in the um, proliferation of the use of more indigenous weapons. I think. God, you're gonna get me on this whole political tangent. You came to the right place, my friend. I completely agree, but I'm gonna wrap it up now before I make this turn this into a video I can't post. All right, have a great day, and yeah, to Australia. All right.